Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna
Hare Rama, Hare Rama.
Rama Rama. Hare Krishna, dear devotees, thank you so much for your kind association. Let us chant our Mangalacharan prayers. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Namaha Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishthaya Bhutale Śrīmate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Iti Namine. Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadādhara Shrivasadi Gaur Bhaktavrinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Janmadasya yatonvayaditaratascha Tene Brahmhridaya Ādi Kavaye Muhyanti Yatsurayah Tejo Vari Mridam Yatha Vinimayo Yatra Trisargo Mrisha Dhamna Svena Sada Nirastakuhakam Satyam Param Dhimahi Dharmah Projita Kaitavotra Paramo Nirmatsaranam Satam Vedyam Vastavamatra Vastu Shivadam Tapatrayon Mulanam Śrīmad Bhagavate Mahamuni Krite Kim Vaparayirishvaraha Sadyoridya Varuddhate Trakritibihi Shushubhistakshana Nigama kalpatarorgalitam phalam Shukamukhadamrita dravasam yutam Pibata Bhagavatam Rasamalayam Muhuraho Rasika Bhuvi Bhavukaha Savai Pumsam Paro Dharmo Yato Bhakti Radhokshaje Ahaitukya Pratihata Yayatma Suprasidati Vadanti Tattvavidas Tattvam Yajnanam Advayam Brahmeti Paramatmeti Bhagavan Iti Shabdyate Atah Pumbir Dvijashreshtha Varnashrama Vibhagashah Svanushistasya dharmasya samsiddhir haritoshanam. Ete cham shakalah pumsah Krishnastu Bhagavan Swayam Indrari Vyakulam Lokam Mridayanti Yuge Yuge. Tadvag Visargo Janatagha Viplavo Yasmin Pratishlokam Abhaddavatyapi Namanyanantasya Yashonkitani Yat Shrunvanti Gayanti Grananti Sadhava Yasyam Vaishruyamanaya Krishne Paramapurushe Bhaktir Utpadyate Pumsaha Shokamoha Bhayapaha Atma Ramascha Munayo Nirgrantha Purukrame Kurvanti Ahaitu Kim Bhaktim Itham Bhuta Guno Harihi Tvai me ananya Vishaya Matir Madhupate Sakrit Ratim Udvahatad Adha Gange Vaugham Udanvati. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, dear devotees, by the blessings of our beloved founder Acharya, Om Vishnupad Paramhamsa Parivrajaka Ashtottara Shata Shri Śrīmad Abhay Charana Arvinda Bhakti Vedanta Swami Maharaj Srila Prabhupada. Let us begin today's Bhakti Vaibhava session. We are studying Granthara Śrīmad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 8, entitled Prayers by Queen Kunti. And we are going to read from verse number 22 onwards. Namaha Pankaja Nabhaya, Namaha Pankaja Maline, Namaha Pankaja Netraya, Namaste Pankajangraye. These are beautiful prayers offered to Lord Krishna by Srimati Kunti Devi, just as Krishna was leaving Hastinapur to go back to Dwarka. Feeling separation from Krishna, Kunti Maharani is praying. Namaha Pankaja Nabhaya, Namaha Pankaja Maline, Namaha Pankaja Netraya, Namaste Pankajangraye. My respectful obeisances are unto you, O Lord, whose abdomen is marked with a depression like a lotus flower. Namaha Pankaja Nabhaya, who are always decorated with garlands of lotus flowers. Namaha Pankaja Maline, whose glance is as cool as the lotus. Namaha Pankaja Netraya, and whose feet are engraved with lotuses. Namaste Pankajangraye. In the purport, Srila Prabhupada says, here are some of the specific symbolical marks on the spiritual body of the Supreme Personality of Godhead Krishna, which distinguish his body from the bodies of all others. Krishna is the Supreme Lord, he is Bhagwan, and Krishna's body is very special, very beautiful, and it has specific markings which are not to be found in anyone else. Towards the end of the purport, Srila Prabhupada writes, one should begin to see the Lord from his lotus feet, gradually rising to the thighs, waist, chest, and face. One should not try to look at the face of the Lord without being accustomed to seeing the lotus feet of the Lord. Srila Prabhupada is giving us the methodology of taking darshan of Bhagwan when we go to the temple. Srila Prabhupada says, first we should look at the Lord's lotus feet. Then we should look at his calves, his knees, his thighs, his waist, his belly, his navel, his beautiful chest, his arms, the flute in his hands, his neck, and then finally his beautiful face. That is the way. Start from the lotus feet to the face of the Lord. And similarly, one should study Śrīmad Bhagavatam also in a proper sequence, starting from the first canto. Because the first two cantos of Śrīmad Bhagavatam, they represent the two lotus feet. of Krishna. Like that. The 10th canto is the lotus face of Krishna. If we directly jump to the 10th canto, specifically Krishna's loving pastimes with the Vraja Gopis, we will certainly misunderstand. Therefore, our acharyas explain that we should study sequentially from the 1st canto to the 10th canto and beyond. Srila Prabhupada further writes, Srimati Kunti, because of her being the aunt of the Lord, did not begin to see the Lord from the lotus feet because the Lord might feel embarrassed or ashamed. And thus Kunti Devi, just to save a painful, embarrassing situation for the Lord, began to see the Lord just above his lotus feet. That is from his navel, his waist, and gradually to the face, and then down to his lotus feet. Kunti Maharani. Because if Krishna directly started saying Namaste Pankajangre, oh, Krishna will get embarrassed. Until now, Kunti Devi, you were offering me blessings. Now what is wrong with you? Suddenly you are offering obeisances at my lotus feet. So to prevent that embarrassment, Kunti Devi starts from the navel. Namaha Pankaja Nabhaya, Namaha Pankaja Maline, Namaha Pankaja Netraya, Namaste Pankajangre. But she concludes with Namaste Pankajangre. Of course, Srila Prabhupada gave the name Pankajangri Das to His Grace Pankajangri Prabhu from this beautiful Śrīmad Bhagavatam, 1st canto. And Pankajangri Prabhu's brother gets his name from the 10th canto. Jayati Jana Nivaso Devaki Janmavado Yaduvara Parishat Swair Dorvirasmi Nadharmam Sthirachara Vrijinagna Susmita Shri Mukhena Vrajapura Vanitanam Vardhayan Kamadevam. Verse number 23. Yatha Rishikesha Khalena Devaki Kansena Ruddhati Chiram Sucharpita Vimochitaham Chasahatmaja Vibho Tvayaiva Nathe Namuhur Vipadganat. Srimati Kunti Maharani continues her beautiful prayer. She's saying, O Rishikesh. Rishikesh is the name of Krishna that indicates Krishna, who is the master of our senses. O Rishikesh, master of the senses and Lord of the Lords. Krishna is Deva Deva. He is Lord of the Lord. You have released your mother Devaki, who was long imprisoned and distressed by the envious king Kansa. Kansena Ruddha Tichiram Sucharpita. She was distressed due to being imprisoned by the envious king Kansa. And you have saved me and my children from a series of constant dangers. Vipadganat. Constant there were vipatti, but you protected us repeatedly. Muhuhu. Again and again you protected us from a series of dangers. So Kunti Maharani, as Krishna is getting ready to leave, she's feeling so much separation, and with great love and devotion and very fondly, Kunti Maharani is remembering the glories of Krishna. How Krishna saved Devaki and Vasudev, and how Krishna saved her and her children from so many dangers. Actually, Krishna is our real protector. Krishna is our real protector. Krishna is always looking out for his devotees. There's a very beautiful verse from Stavamala of Srila Rupa Goswami. It's a verse worth memorizing, where Srila Rupa Goswami describes how Krishna is always there to protect his devotees. Manasi jafani jushte labdha patosmi dushte timira gahana rupe hanta samsara kupe ajita nikhila raksha hetu muddhara daksha upanaya mama haste bhakti rajjum namaste. Ajit, the Supreme Lord is called Ajit, the infallible, the invincible Lord, one who cannot be defeated. And Uddhara Daksham, भक्तों का उद्धार करने के लिए भगवान अति दक्ष है. The Supreme Lord is always very expert at rescuing the devotees from perilous, dangerous situations. And Daksha also means very alert. Krishna is always very alert, looking out for his devotees. The devotees may not see the danger. Arjun did not see the Shakti Astra of Karna. Krishna saw and immediately lowered the chariot, and Arjun was saved. So he's Daksha, expert and vigilant, always looking out for the devotees. So that is Krishna. So Kunti Maharani is remembering, Srila Prabhupada writes in the purport, Kunti Devi, along with her children, was also saved from a series of dangers. But Kunti Devi was far more favored because Lord Krishna did not save the other children of Devaki, whereas he saved the children of Kunti Devi. This is very sweet. Srila Prabhupada is saying that Devaki's 6 children were not saved by Krishna. Krishna allowed them to be killed by Kansa. But Kunti, all her 5 sons were protected. They were protected by Krishna from so many dangers. So Srila Prabhupada says that Kunti was more favored than Devaki. This was done. So why was Kunti more favored by Devaki? This is extremely sweet. Please pay attention. Srila Prabhupada is saying that Kunti was more favored by Krishna than Devaki. Why? Srila Prabhupada answers. He says, because Devaki had a husband, Vasudeva Maharaj. So she had some dependence on her husband. My husband will protect. But Kunti had no husband. Maharaj Pandu had died. So Kunti was completely dependent on Krishna. So therefore, Srila Prabhupada says, because Kunti was a widow and she had no one to help her except Krishna, Krishna gave more protection, more favor to Kunti. Therefore, my dear friends, we have to chant more. Srila Prabhupada said we have to always chant and cry out like a child cries out helplessly to the mother and father. Hare is mother, Srimati Radharani, and Krishna and Ram are the names of our Shyam Sundar, Krishna. You have to call out like a helpless child. Once Srila Prabhupada was taking a morning walk in a park, and in the park there was a lake. And by the lakeside, Prabhupada was walking with his disciples, and there were ducks in the lake. And the ducks were going quack, 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 quack. And some people were there and they were feeding the ducks. You get special duck food in the park and you can buy it for a quarter or $1 and you can feed the ducks. The kids like to do it. So kids were feeding. So Srila Prabhupada pointed his cane and said, which duck will get more feed? And the disciples were bewildered. They didn't know what the answer is. Prabhupada said, that duck that is quacking the most. Quack, 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 quack. If a duck is not quacking, is indifferent to the people who have come to feed, they will not throw the food. But if a quack is, if a duck is quacking and very hungry and going quack, 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 then people will take compassion and they will throw. Srila Prabhupada said, devotees, we have to be like that. You have to chant Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. And pray like Srila Rupa Goswami. Manasi jafani jushte, labdha patosmi dushte, timira gahana rupe, hanta samsara kupe. I have fallen down in this samsara coop, this dark well of material existence. And I am being bitten by the snakes of materialistic, sense gratificatory desires. Ajita nikhila raksha hetu muddhara daksha upanayama haste bhakti rajjum namaste. I have fallen down, so give me bhakti rajjum. Give me the rope of bhakti and pull me out. I cannot come out. Manju Bhashini Mataji, she has shared this verse. Thank you, Mataji, from Stavamala of Srila Rupa Goswami. Manasi jafani jushte labdha patosmi dushte timira gahana rupe hanta samsara kupe ajita nikhila raksha hetu muddhara dakshan upanayama mahaste bhakti rajjum namaste. Who wants to chant this verse? Raise your hand. It's a very beautiful prayer. Srila Rupa Goswami's. Rupa Raghunatha Pade Hoibe Akuti. Yes, Kirta Sundari Mataji, please sing. You're back in US or you're still in India?
I'm still in India. Today evening is my flight.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Have a safe Krishna conscious trip. Hare Krishna.
Thank you.
Please sing.
Thank you. Manasi japani juste, lapta patosmi duste, timira gana rupe, hanta samsara kupe, ajita nikila raksha, heto muttara daksha, upanaya mama haste, bhakti rajum namaste.
Hare Krishna. Very beautiful. Thank you, Mataji. So like that, we have to cry out to Krishna. Krishna, please help me. Please help me. We have to quack like the ducks. Our quacking is Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Then Krishna will and Radharani will be merciful to us. So Devaki was helpless. She was a widow. She had no one to help except Krishna. Srila Prabhupada writes, the conclusion is that Krishna bestows more favor to a devotee who is in greater danger. Who is in greater danger? Who wants danger? Srila Prabhupada says one who is in more danger will get more mercy of Krishna. Hare Krishna. Vishan Mahagne Purushada Darshanad Asat Sabhaya Vanavasa Krichrataha Mridhe Mridhene Kamaharathastrato Drauni Astrataschasma Hare Bhirakshitaha. Verse number 24. Very beautiful verse. So in the previous verse, Kunti Maharani is saying, oh Krishna, you saved me and my children from a series of dangers. And in this verse, verse number 24, Srimati Kunti Maharani is enumerating those different dangers during which Krishna protected her and her children. Vishan, poison. Duryodhan tried to poison Bhim to kill him. Gave him enough poison that would kill 100 men. But Bhim was so powerful, it only acted like a melatonin tablet, just like a little sleeping aid. Bhim went off to sleep. But Duryodhan and Dushasan picked him up and threw Bhim in the river to kill him. But Krishna protected. Bhim came back stronger and more powerful. He met Varun Dev, who gave him 8 pots of nectar. Each pot of nectar could give the strength of 1,000 elephants. So he drank 8 pots. He got the strength of 8,000 elephants. And he was born with the strength of 2,000 elephants. So Bhim had the strength of 10,000 elephants now. So Vishan, from the wish, from the poison, he protected. Maha Agne, from the great fire. The Lakshagriha, Duryodhan had a plan to burn the Pandavas down when they were sleeping. He said, oh, there is a very beautiful festival celebrating the glories of Lord Shiva. It's a 1-year festival. So I have built a very nice vacation home for all of you. Kunti Devi and your 5 sons, Pandavas, you go and have a good time there. And dutifully they obeyed because Dhritarashtra Maharaj had ordered. So Kunti Devi, Yudhishthir, Bhim, Arjun, Nakul, Sahadev went and started saying there, the Lakshagriha. But that entire house was made up of very, very flammable substances. There was ghee and oil everywhere inside the walls in different pots. It was kept in different places. There was camphor stuffed inside the walls. You know camphor, how inflammable it is. The walls were packed with karpur, camphor. So the house had very nice fragrance, but it would just go up in flames in a second. Everything was very, very flammable. So as they were going to that house to stay there for 1 year to do Shiva Puja, Vidur found out that this is the sinister plan. Vidur is a devotee of Krishna, a Mahajan actually. He is Yamraji. So he paid some extra money to the workers and got them to dig a tunnel for escape. And as Yudhishthir Maharaj along with his brothers and mother were sitting on the rath to go to that Lakshagriha, Vidur, in the tribal language, which no one else could understand, but Yudhishthira Maharaj was expert in that language. So they were talking. Like when Shamchandra Prabhu comes, Shamchandra Prabhu and Sundari Mataji, they talk in their language. It is very confidential. We don't understand what they're talking. South Indian language, Tamil. So like that, they spoke in a secret language. Only Vidur and Yudhishthira Maharaj could understand. And Duryodhana was wondering, what is uncle telling? What is Vidur telling Yudhishthira? But Vidur spoke a verse in a local language. It is said that it was Mlecha language of meat eaters, that Vidur spoke. And Srila Radha Govind Maharaj, in his lecture on the Kunti Stuti prayers, he says, oh, that must be English. Vidur must have spoken in English, the language of the Mlechas. And then Maharaj said, ये अंग्रेजी भाषा भी बहुत काम कर देती है, बहुत काम में आती है. So he spoke in the Mlecha language, Mahabharata describes. What did Vidur say? And that also he spoke in such a mystical way that even if someone understood, they would not understand what is going on. Vidur told Yudhishthir, one should beware of that weapon which does not have a pointed edge or a sharp edge. Does not have a pointed end or a sharp edge. Means beware of a weapon that is not arrows or spear or sword. Beware of that weapon that devours everyone that comes in its path. But those who hide underground escape. Like that, in a very mystical way, very cryptic way, Vidur spoke. And Yudhishthira Maharaj understood. So Yudhishthira Maharaj went there. After a few days, he told his mother and the brothers that they have a plan to burn us down and kill us. Bhim said, if they are going to burn us, why should we wait for them to set fire? The house is inflammable. So we will just show that there was an accidental fire. We will create the fire and we will escape. So in this way, they escaped. And somehow there was a drunkard lady with her 5 sons. Unknown to the Pandavas, she came and she slept in the veranda that night. And when the fire erupted, they got burnt. They were completely intoxicated and drunk. So they got burnt. And everyone thought, seeing their charred bodies, they thought that the plan has been successful. Kunti and the 5 Pandavas have been killed. But actually Krishna saved them. Rakhe Krishna, mare Krishna, rakhe ke. So that is Mahagni. Purushad, the man-eaters. There was this very great man-eater Rakshas, man-eating Rakshas called Bakasur. A different Bakasur, not the Bakasur who came to Vrindavan, but Bakasur who came to the abode of Sri Nityananda Prabhu, Ek Chakradham. After escaping from the great fire, they did not have the courage to go back to Hastinapur because they knew that Duryodhan and Dushasan, they are out to kill them, murder them. So if they go back, they might be attacked. So they thought, let's just stay away from Hastinapur. So Kunti and her 5 sons, they were wandering from one forest to other. And they came to the holy place called Eka Chakradham. And in Eka Chakradham, they were living happily. And there was a Brahmani in whose house they were staying. She was a widow and she had only 1 son. And in that area, there was a Rakshas living. His name was Bakasur. And he was a terrible Rakshas. He would just come left, right, center. He would eat people whenever he would feel hungry. So all the villages, nearby villages, they made a deal with this Bakasur that don't randomly come and eat us. Every fortnight, we will send you a bullock cart filled with food. Puris, rice, sabji, laddus, rotis, everything will send you. You eat as much as you want. And because you are a man-eater, you can eat the bulls and you can eat the person who is riding the bullock cart also. You can eat that one human being. Every fortnight we'll give you, but please randomly don't. We'll give you a bullock cart full of food. So he said, okay. This man-eating Rakshas Bakasur was living in the forest. And from one of the villages, they would take turns. One bullock cart would go. 2 bulls, 1 man, and bullock cart filled with food. And everything would be devoured by this Bakasur. So for some time, the Pandavas were living with this very pious Brahmani. Very happily they were living. And that day, that fortnight, that day, it was the turn of that Brahmani to send the food. So she prepared 2 bulls, a bullock cart, filled it with a lot of food. lot of food, kilos and kilos of food. And then she had only one son who had to go riding the bullock cart to become food for the Bakasur Rakshas. So naturally, this widow was extremely grief-stricken. And she was saying, I will go, my child. I am an old woman. You have a full life ahead of you. I will go. And the son said, no, mother, I will go. I will never put you in danger. I will go and I will die. And they were talking back and forth like that. And Kunti Devi was in another room. The Pandavas had gone to do Madhukari. Kunti Devi she overheard this conversation. So she went and she said, oh, my dear sister, what happened? So the Brahmani told the whole story to Kunti Devi. Kunti Devi said, don't send your son. Don't send your son. We are living in your house. We have to pay you back. So don't send your son. I will send one of my sons. You have only one son, but I have got 5 sons. I will send one of my sons. Don't worry. So the Brahmani said, no. I cannot make you give such a big sacrifice. No. Sending a son means getting your son killed. Nobody comes back. No. Kunti Devi smiled. She said, you don't know my sons. The son I am going to send is called Bhim. You don't know Bhim. He will eat Bakasur and he will still not be satisfied. He is Vrikodhar. He has insatiable appetite. You don't worry, you just relax. And when the Pandava brothers came from the Madhukari, Kunti Devi told Bhim, you go take this bullock cart and go and meet Bakasur. So Bhim was very happy. He told, what is this? This bullock cart looks empty. Let's put more food on this bullock cart. So other villagers also came. They contributed. They did a potluck. There was more food on the bullock cart. Then Bhimsen sat on the bullock cart. He held the reins of the bullock cart in his left hand, and with his right hand, he was reaching behind and eating. And by the time Bhim reached the forest, he had finished the whole bullock cart. Only last few laddus were remaining. And he was eating and he was burping. And hearing his burps, Bakasur came. He was hungry. He used to wait for this day. Once in a fortnight, he used to get food. And he said, what is this? You have eaten my food. I will kill you. And he attacked Bhim. And Bhim had few more laddus left. So Bhim let go of the reins of the bullock cart. And with his left hand, he pushed Bakasur away. He said, hey, wait, let me finish. I have not finished yet. And he was eating, and Bakasur was coming, and Bhim was pushing him. And he was eating. After he had finished eating everything, Bhim got down and he had a nice fight with this Bakasur. And Mahabharata describes that in a moment Bhim killed him, but Bhim was not satisfied. He said, why are you dying? Come on, fight. In a long time I have not fought. Come on, fight with me. But Bakasur was dead, and Bhim beat him up into pulp and completely mangled his body, and then sat on the bullock cart and came back. So Kunti Maharani is saying that Bhim did not accomplish this feat of killing Bakasur on his own strength. Balam balavatam chaham. The strength is coming from Krishna, and Kunti is giving all credit to Krishna. That this man-eating Rakshas, Purushada, Krishna, you saved us. Asat Sabhaya. Asat Sabha. That very cruel Sabha, Kuru Sabha, where Draupadi Devi was attacked by Dushasan, where Shakuni unfairly defeated Yudhishthir Maharaj. All their property, wealth was taken. And worst of all, their chaste wife, Srimati Draupadi Devi, was attacked in the Asat Sabha. But in that Asat Sabha also, Krishna was there. In the Asat Sabha also, Krishna was there to protect. Krishna protected Draupadi Devi. He became Draupadi Devi's sari. And Dushasan was pulling and pulling and pulling and pulling. And Dushasan saw that the sari is not getting over only. Because Krishna is Ananta, the sari also became Ananta, unlimited. And Dushasan said, ye nari ki sari hai ya sari ki nari hai? Is this the sari of a lady, or is this lady made up of sari? I don't know. He kept pulling, there was a mountain of sari in the Kuru Sabha. And Dushasan got exhausted and he fell down. But Draupadi Devi was completely protected. Asat Sabha. Krishna protected. Kunti Maharani is giving all credit to Krishna here also. Vanavasa, Kritsata. And when we were in Vanvas, when the Pandavas were in Vanvas, how many difficulties came there? Duryodhan sent Durvas Muni there to get the Pandavas cursed and killed by Durvas Muni. 60,000 disciples came, and Draupadi Devi had to provide food when the Akshaya Patra had already been washed. It was impossible. But Krishna, Draupadi Devi called out to Krishna. Durvasa sovakyamupeta Krishna sacha bravitkananavasinisham antah pravishtam manasa juhava Govinda damodara madhaveti. She called out and Krishna immediately came. And take that one little piece of shak. It must not be the first month of Chaturmas. Krishna took one piece of shak, spinach, and Yasmin tushte jagat tushtam. Krishna was satisfied, everyone is satisfied. And Durvas Muni suddenly became so full, and his disciples became so full that they could not even, what to speak of eating. Durvas Muni said, now Yudhishthira Maharaj has prepared, Draupadi Devi has prepared a full feast for us. We have to sit and eat. But before we eat, we have to do Achaman. Durvas Muni said, I am so full, I cannot even do Achaman. I cannot even sip the few drops of water. I am so full. So let's go. In the meantime, Krishna told Yudhishthira Maharaj that I am satisfied. Now go and call Durvas Muni and his disciples. Let's feed them. There was no food, but they had so much faith. Yudhishthira Maharaj, he said, Bhim, go. So Bhim took his gada and he went to the bank of the river Yamuna. They were in Vrindavan actually at this time. The Pandavas were staying in Vrindavan, in Nidhivan. And Bhim went to the bank of Yamuna to find Durvas Muni. And as soon as Durvas Muni saw Bhim, he thought, Are baap re baap. Previously in Vrindavan only, in Madhuvan, I had offended Ambarish Maharaj. And these Pandavas are very great devotees. They will be so offended. I made them cook. I made them prepare a feast for 60,001 people. And now if we don't show up, we have given RSVP. If we don't show up, they will be so offended. There will be such wastage of prasad. And if the Vaishnavas are displeased, I have seen what happens. So better I run off. So Durvas Muni went in one direction. His 60,000 disciples are scattered in different directions, leaving their kopins there. And when Bhim came, he saw just so many kopins scattered everywhere, but there was nobody in sight. No rishis were in sight. Krishna saved. Such a great danger it was, but Krishna saved. Krishna saved the Pandavas during the Vanvas also. Mridhe, and again and again in the battle, Maharathastrato, from the astras, from the weapons of great Maharathis during the battle of Kurukshetra. Bhishma Dev was shooting arrows, Dronacharya was shooting arrows, Karna was shooting arrows, but all the Pandavas were always protected. Duryodhan had the blessings of his mother Gandhari that his body would become steel framed, but still Krishna protected Bhim. So all the sons were protected. And then recently, Drauni Astrataha, the Brahmastra of Drauni, the son of Dronacharya, that is Ashwathama. He protected the 5 Pandava brothers and their grandson, Parikshit Maharaj, in the womb of Uttara. He was also protected. And now you have saved us from the weapon of Ashwathama. My dear Krishna, your lordship has protected us from a poisoned cake, from the great fire, from cannibals, and from the vicious assembly, from sufferings during our exile in the forest, and from the battle where great generals fought. And now you have saved us from the weapon of Ashwathama. This is Kritadnyata, my dear friends. A devotee is always grateful. It is said in the Holy Bible that there is no sin greater than ingratitude. So a devotee should always be Kritadnya. Jna means to have jnana, knowledge. And Krita means that what has been done for us. Kritadnya means to always be aware of what people have done to us. We should always remember that. And Draupadi Devi is exemplifying that. She's remembering everything that Krishna has done. Devaki was once put into difficulty by her envious brother. Srila Prabhupada writes in the purport. Kansa imprisoned Devaki and Vasudeva. So once they were in trouble. But Kunti Devi and her sons were put into one difficulty after another for years and years. Srila Prabhupada says. And therefore, more the suffering, the more we have opportunity to call out to Krishna. And the more we call out to Krishna, the more mercy we get. Verse number 25. Vipadaha santuta shashva tatra tatra jagat guru bhavato darshanam yatsyad apunar bhava darshanam I wish that all those calamities would happen again and again so that we could see you again and again. For seeing you means that we will no longer see repeated births and deaths. This is a very famous verse from Śrīmad Bhagavatam, from Kunti Stuti. And this verse has captivated the minds of sadhus generation after generation. Because no other acharya has prayed like this. Kunti Maharani is saying, Vipadaha santu taha shashvat. Vipadaha means calamities. Let calamities come. Santu means let them come. Vipadaha santu taha shashvat. Not that let them come once or twice. Shashvat. Eternally, perpetually let calamities come upon me. Kunti Maharani is saying. O Jagat Guru Krishna, let them come upon me. Why? Because whenever there is calamity, you have come to protect us. Whenever we have faced calamities, you have come to protect us. So if calamities keep coming, that means you will keep coming. And we will have your darshan. And bhavato darshanam yatsya, if we have your darshan, then apunar bhava darshanam. Then we don't have to see this material world again. Seeing Krishna means to not see this material world again. Krishna Surya Sama Maya Haya Andhakar, Jaha Krishna Taha Nahi Maya Adhikar. So Srila Prabhupada is writing in the purport, generally the distressed, the needy, the intelligent and the inquisitive who have performed some pious activities worship or begin to worship the Supreme Lord Krishna. Quickly raise your hand and tell me which verse of Bhagavad Gita is this. Yes, Satyarupa Mataji and Janani Mataji.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. Chaturvida bhajante mam jana sukritinor arto jijnasu artarti jnani cha bharatarshava.
Very nice. Mataji, you and your mother both know Sanskrit, correct? You have studied Sanskrit, both of you?
Studied in school, Prabhu, but after that no touch. But because of reading like this, trying to learn.
Very nice. Both of you have very nice pronunciation. Very nice.
Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Thank you. So generally, these four types of people take shelter of Krishna. Arti, Artarthi, Jidnyasu, and Jnanis. They take shelter of Krishna, generally. Therefore, for a pious person, if there is some calamity, Arti, somebody who is in calamity, there is calamity, there is no other alternative than to take shelter of the lotus feet of the Lord. For a pious person, for a person who is not pious, he will take Anya Ashray. But for a pious person, for a devotee, when there is calamity, the devotee naturally calls out to Krishna. Constantly remembering the lotus feet of Lord Krishna means preparing for liberation from birth and death. Hare Krishna. Mukti pradata sarvesham Vishnur eva na samshaya. Therefore, even though there are so-called calamities, they are welcome. Hare Krishna, Srila Prabhupada says. Even though there are so-called calamities, they are welcome, Srila Prabhupada says. Because in calamities, we have a natural tendency to take shelter of Krishna. Next paragraph. One who has taken shelter of the lotus feet of the Lord, which are accepted as the most suitable boat for crossing the oceans of nescience, can achieve liberation as easily as one leaps over the holes made by the hoofs of a calf. Raise your hand. Which verse is this from Śrīmad Bhagavatam? Amrita Karana Prabhu.
Samasrita je padapallava plavam mahatpadam punnajaso murari bhavam mudir vassapadam param padam 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 jad vipadam natisa.
Wow, very beautiful. Srila Shukdev Goswami writes in the 10th canto that if we take shelter of Krishna's lotus feet, then this whole material ocean, existence of material ocean, becomes reduced to the water contained in the hoofprint of a little calf. Vatsapadam. Very beautiful verse. Srila Prabhupada is quoting that verse here. Such persons are meant to reside in the abode of the Lord. Parampadam. And they have nothing to do with this place where there is danger at every step. Padam padam yad vipada na tesham. This material world is certified by the Lord in the Bhagavad Gita as a dangerous place full of calamities. Which verse is this? Please raise your hand. Yes, Sarojanandini Mataji. Let's go ahead.
Is it Yehi Samsparsha Jaboga?
that verse says that Adyantavanta Kaunteya Nateshu Ramate Buddha, that any enjoyment that has a beginning and an end is temporary, and a Buddha, an intelligent person, na Ramate, does not take pleasure in such temporary sense gratification. Any sense gratification that is born of the contact of the Indriya with the Vishaya, that is not the enjoyment that a intelligent person seeks. So that is a little different. But here Prabhupada is saying that this material world is certified by Lord Krishna in Bhagavad Gita as a dangerous place full of calamities. You want to take another guess, Mataji?
Is it Neha Vikramanashosti? No.
That verse tells us that any devotional service we perform is not lost, and even a small amount of Krishna consciousness can save us from the greatest danger. Like Ajamil, Maharaj Nriga, we all know the story of Maharaj Nriga, such a charitable king. He was giving so much charity, one little mistake in one little cow, and he became a chameleon, a lizard in his next life, fell down. But Ajamil, all his life did not do any charity, rather he was a thief. But he made one good devotional act of uttering the name Narayana, and he got Parampad. He attained Vaikuntha. That is the contrast. So, Neha Vikramanashosti Pratyavayana Vidyate Swalpamipasa Dharmasya Trayate Mahato Bhaya. Trayate Mahato Bhaya. We will be protected from the greatest fear in life. So that is also very nice verse. But specifically, Krishna certifying this world as a dangerous place full of calamities, no happiness in this world. No happiness in this world. It is temporary world. You want to take another guess?
No problem.
Okay. So Mukta Sangha Prabhu? That tells us that this to cross this world of Maya is very difficult unless and until we take Sharanagati. That is also a very nice verse. Yes. Dukkhalayam Ashashvatam. Yes. Anyone else? There's one more verse where Krishna says the same thing. Dukkhalayam. Yes, Shamchandra Prabhu, you want to take a guess?
I was going to say this Mamopetya Janma Dukhali Vachasutam Napnavanti Mahatmana Samsiddhim Paramam Gata.
Yes. Who knows the other verse? There is one more verse. Amrit Karan Prabhu? You want to say? 18th chapter. Anityam asukham lokam imam prapya bhajasvamam. Someone can share this very beautiful verse, 18th chapter. Krishna says clearly, Anityam, this world is temporary. Asukham, this miserable place. There is no happiness in this world. Asukham. The creator of this world is certifying this world. Asukham, there is no happiness in this world. Anityam asukham lokam. You have come to this Anityam asukham lokam, temporary miserable world where there is no happiness. Bhajasvamam. Now surrender to me and worship me, Krishna says. Okay.
This chapter 9.
Anityam, no, it is 18th chapter. No? It is 9th chapter?
932.
I made a mistake.
9th chapter.
9th chapter. Okay.
932.
9th chapter. Sorry, I made a mistake. I apologize. Anityam asukham lokam imam prapya bhajasvama. Mat chitta sarva durgani mat prasadat tarishyasi. That is 18th chapter. I was getting confused with that. Mat chitta sarva durgani mat prasad tarishyasi. That is 18th chapter. This is 9th chapter, correct. Anityam asukham lokam imam prapya bhajasvama. Kim punar brahmana punya bhakta rajarshaya tatha. Anityam asukham lokam imam prapya bhajasvama. Very nice. Thank you. 9th chapter. Further, Srila Prabhupada says, suffering all sorts of unavoidable misfortunes, one should make progress in spiritual realization because that is the mission of human life. What is the mission of human life? To make spiritual progress. The spirit soul is transcendental to all material calamities. Therefore, the so-called calamities are called false. Why? Because these calamities affect the body, but we are not the body. We are the soul, and the soul, Nayanam Chindanti Shastrani. The soul cannot be affected by any calamity, any weapon. So therefore, na hanyate hanyamane sharire. Therefore, these calamities are actually false because they cannot touch the true self, which is the soul. A man may see a tiger swallowing him in a dream, and he may cry for this calamity. But actually there is no tiger and there is no suffering. It is simply a case of dreams. Similarly, this material suffering is actually unreal, because we are not the body, and all the suffering of this material world, they affect only the gross and the subtle body, the sthul sharir and the sukshma sharir, but not the atma, which is our true identity. Even the greatest atomic nuclear bomb cannot touch the soul. Cannot touch the soul. Verse number 26. Janmaishwarya shruta shribhi edhamana madhapuman naivarhati abhidhatum vai twamakinchana gocharam. Kunti Maharani again speaks this very beautiful famous verse. My dear Lord Krishna, your lordship can easily be approached only by those who are materially exhausted. Tvam akinchana gochar. Agochar means cannot approach. Gochar means to approach. You are approachable only by one who is akinchan. Kinchan means to have something. Kinchid asti, Dhananjay. Kinchan means something. Akinchan means one who has nothing. Kangal. Amito Kangal. Krishna Krishna boli. Dhaitava pache pache. Ohe Vaishnava Thakura. Doyara Sagara. Edase Karuna Kori. So Amito Kangal Krishna Krishna boli Dhaitava pache pache. That is Akinchan. Srila Prabhupada had a god brother. His name was Krishnadas Babaji. Krishnadas Babaji Maharaj. Prabhupada's god brother. And Prabhupada gave him the name Akinchan. Akinchan Krishnadas Babaji Maharaj. Because he would only chant. 24 hours a day he would chant. He had nothing, no possessions. He would go from one Gaudiya Math temple to the other, just chanting Harinam. And for 40 years, nobody ever saw him sleep. For 40 years, nobody ever saw him sleep. He was a Mahabhagavat Paramhamsa, Srila Prabhupada's very dear friend. And Akinchan Krishnadas Babaji Maharaj told His Holiness Bhakti Bhringa Govinda Swami Maharaj, Bibi Govinda Maharaj, he told, Akinchan Krishnadas Babaji Maharaj told that in the history of Vaishnavism, this world has not seen an Acharya like your Gurudev, Srila Abhay Charanarvinda Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, as far as Nishtha, faith in the holy name is concerned. He says, in the history of this world, the world has not seen an Acharya who has such Nam Nishtha as Srila Prabhupada. This is coming from Srila Akinchan Krishnadas Babaji Maharaj, who is a Nirantar Nam Japak. He has full realization. Prabhupada writes in the Jaladuta, Bhakti nahi Veda nahi Nama khubadharo Bhakti Vedanta nama ebe sarthakoro. Bhakti nahi Veda nahi. My name is Bhakti Vedanta. I don't have Bhakti and I don't have Veda. I don't have knowledge and I don't have devotion. Prabhupada says. But Name khube bharo. But I have great bharosa, I have great faith in your name, Krishna. I don't have Bhakti, I don't have knowledge, but I have great faith in your holy name. Bhakti Vedanta Name ebi sarthak karo. Now it is up to you, Krishna, to fulfill the purport of my name, Bhakti Vedanta. This is complete Sharanagati. Complete Sharanagati. Here it is said, my Lord, you can easily be approached only by those who are akinchan, who are materially exhausted, who are kangal. One who is on the path of material progress, trying to improve himself with respectable parentage, great opulence, high education, and bodily beauty, cannot approach you with sincere feeling. Janma means high birth, birth in a very rich, famous family, the movers and shakers of society. Aishwarya, lot of opulence, prestige. Shruta, very high education. Shribhi, and possessing physical beauty. These are all Edhamana Madha Uman. For a human being, all these things, four things, lead to intoxication and pride. Dinera adhika daya kare Bhagavan, kulina pandita dhanire bada abhiman. Dinera adhika daya kare Bhagavan. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says in Antya Lila to Srila Sanatana Goswami, Dinera adhika daya kare Bhagavan. Krishna bestows special mercy to one who is humble. Whereas Kulina, Pandita, Dhani, those who are born in a big, cool, famous family, Dhani, those who are very rich, Pandit, those who are very learned. Kulina, Pandita, Dhanira, Bada Abhiman. These people are very proud and they don't get Krishna's mercy. Dinera Ādi Gadādhara Kare Bhagavan. Being materially advanced means taking birth in an aristocratic family and possessing great wealth, education, attractive personal beauty. Attractive personal beauty. By possessing all these material assets, one becomes artificially puffed up. That is a problem. One can become puffed up with these things. Puffed up persons are incapable of uttering the holy name of the Lord by addressing him feelingly. O Govinda, O Krishna. Govinda Dwarkavasi, Krishna Gopi Jana Priya, Kauravair Paribhutan Mam, Kim na Janasi Keshava. Draupadi Devi prayed like that. There are 4 principles of material advancement, namely high parentage, good wealth, high education, and physical beauty. And so to speak, these are disqualifications on the progress of spiritual advancement. Arjun had all these. Yudhishthira Maharaj had all these. So these things are stumbling blocks on the path of spiritual progress if we become proud. If we consider them to be this is my beauty, this is my wealth, this is my high education, this is my great family. If we have ahamta mamata, ins and minus for that, janasya mohoyam aham mameti. If we have ahamta and mamata, that I am great, I am educated, I am beautiful, I am rich, I am powerful, I am famous, and this is my wealth, this is my great aristocratic family. If we have this ins and minus, then we will get trapped. Then it is a disqualification. But Ambarish Maharaj had all these. Parishit Maharaj had all these. But they are Mahabhagavats. So these things, high parentage, wealth, beauty, education, they lead to pride, which is like a fever. Tap. It is a fever. Bukhar. And it indicates an unhealthy body. Spiritually advanced persons become materially impoverished sometimes. We see that sometimes spiritually advanced people, they become materially impoverished. Example? Raise your hand if you can give some example. Ananta Vilas Prabhu?
Like for example, Srila Prabhupada, if we take, okay.
Yes, Srila Prabhupada. Shama Vallabh Mataji?
Bharat Maharaj, he left everything and he went to the forest.
Okay, yes. Then Ajay Govind Prabhu? Oh, sorry. I thought your hand is raised. Sharanagat Mataji?
Sudama?
Sudama, okay, yes. But Sudama would not be a classical example. But yes, Sudama also, he was poor. I'm saying, Prabhupada saying sometimes spiritually advanced people, they become materially impoverished. Sudama was never very rich to begin with, but okay, it's a good example because he was impoverished. Sandeep Prabhu?
Krishna Prabhuji, the Pandavas.
The Pandavas, yes, they lost everything. They became Vanvasi. Very nice. Whose Tithi is there on Guru Purnima?
Sanatan Goswami.
Yes.
Sanatana Goswami, Raghunath Goswami.
Taktva Turnamashesha Mandalapati Shrenim Sada Tuchavad Bhutva Dina Ganesha Kau Karunaya Kaupi Nakantha Shrito Gopi Bhavara Samrita Abdilahari Kallola Magnau Muhur Vande Rupa Sanatanau Raghuyudo Shri Jiva Gopalakau Tyaktva Turnam Ashesha Mandalapati. They left everything. They left everything, even though they were Mandalpatis. They were small kings. They left everything and voluntarily accepted a life of poverty. They became a kinchan, considering it to be tuchha. On the other hand, so when spiritually advanced people become materially impoverished, this is not a discouragement. On the other hand, such impoverishment is a good sign, just like the fever reducing, Prabhupada says. When somebody is sick and is having 104, 103 degree Fahrenheit fever, and now it comes down to 99. Is that a good sign or a bad sign? Good sign. The material fever is also decreasing when we become akinchan. Srila Prabhupada says, Namo akinchana vittaya nivritta gunavrittaye atma ramaya shantaya kaivalya pataye namaha. Verse 27. My obeisances are unto you who are the property of the materially impoverished. You have nothing to do with actions and reactions of material modes of nature. You are self-satisfied, and therefore you are the most gentle, and you are the master of the transcendentalists, the monists. Srila Prabhupada writes in the purport, a living being renounces something for gaining something more valuable. A student sacrifices his childish proclivities to gain better education, because a better education will give them better facilities and wealth in the future. What is this called? This concept? To give up immediate sense gratification for delayed sense gratification. What are the Sanskrit words? These two terms: immediate gratification and delayed gratification.
Shreya and Preya.
Yes, Shreya and Preya. Shreya means ultimate good, and Preyas means immediate sense gratification. So Srila Prabhupada says a living being renounces something for gaining something more valuable. A student sacrifices his childish proclivities to gain better education. A servant gives up his job for a better job. We switch jobs sometimes because we get a better package, better reimbursement package. Similarly, a devotee renounces the material world not for nothing, but for something tangible in spiritual value. My dear friends, please give me your 100% attention. This is the last verse for today. This sentence that Srila Prabhupada writes in the purport, the fourth sentence of the purport to text 27. A servant gives up his job for a better job. Similarly, a devotee renounces the material world not for nothing, but for something tangible in spiritual value. Please remember this. This is very important. We have to leave material life behind, and we have to come to Krishna consciousness for something better, for a higher taste. Param drishtva nivartate. Vishaya vinivartante niraharasya dehinam rasovarjam rasopyasya param drishtva nivartate. We have to get a higher taste in bhakti. But if we don't take Krishna consciousness seriously, as the years go by, my dear friends, what happens is we lose our material life. And if we don't take spiritual life seriously, if we don't take Krishna consciousness seriously, what happens is after some years in Krishna consciousness, we plateau in our bhakti. Initially, we are improved. We don't know anything. We don't know Mangal Arati. We don't know Guru Arati. We don't know Bhagavad Gita verses. We don't know Bhagavatam. So we are learning that we are going up and up. But if we don't continue to make progress, then we plateau. And this plateau is very dangerous. Because from the plateau, you can only fall down. So remember this. Now that we have taken to Krishna consciousness, let's take it full on. Let's take it full on, enthusiastically. Let's associate with high-class devotees, sincere devotees, and let's increase our bhajan every day. That is the only way to get a higher taste. Unless and until we develop that higher taste, unless and until we are thinking, today is Ekadashi, can I chant 64 rounds? How can I chant 64 rounds today? Prabhupada wanted us to chant 64 rounds. Prabhupada instructed, it's there in Leelamrit. During the first initiation ceremony, I want all my disciples to chant 64 rounds every day. They couldn't do it. So Prabhupada reduced to 32, couldn't do it, reduced to 16. So sincere devotee will understand this mood of our Acharya. Mahaprabhu in Chaitanya Bhagavat says, I will accept prasad only from the hands of those who chant 64 rounds. Srila Prabhupada in Nectar of Instruction, all of us have done Bhakti Shastri, we have studied Nectar of Instruction. What does Srila Prabhupada write? Raise your hand in the purports to Nectar of Instruction, about 64 rounds. Who knows? Please raise your hand. Okay, till we get the answer, we will not go for. I will not leave all of you. Someone has to figure out and tell me the answer. Because all of you are Bhakti Shastris. Yes, Shamchandra Prabhu.
Prabhu, is it this that Prabhupada says, if you have time, you chant?
Mm-hmm. No.
Is it this one that you are referring to?
No, in the purport.
When you have time, you chant.
No, in the purports to Nectar of Instruction, Srila Prabhupada writes something about chanting 64 rounds every day. Someone has to tell me. Yes, Gaganji. Sorry, you can unmute.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Prabhuji, मैं हिंदी में बोलूँगी. प्रभुपाद जी ने नेक्टर ऑफ इंस्ट्रक्शंस में एक पर्पट में लिखा था कि भक्ति सिद्धांत सरस्वती ठाकुर में everyone is fallen if they don't chant 64 rounds. Is it?
Yes, perfect. Thank you, Gaganji. Srila Prabhupada writes in the purport to Nectar of Instruction that actually Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur says that anyone who does not chant 64 rounds every day is fallen. By the estimation of Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Prabhupada, we are all fallen. Srila Prabhupada writes. Hare Krishna. Therefore, a sincere devotee will think, weekends I have more time, Ekadashi is a special day, tomorrow is Guru Purnima, Chaturmas is beginning tomorrow. Can I take a vrat? How can I chant 64 rounds? How can I chant more? How can I increase my bhajan? This is how we have to think. We have to try our best. So if we don't do this, now think about this. Now Shamchandra Prabhu, look at Shamchandra Prabhu. He has brought up 2 children very nicely in Krishna consciousness. He has had a very responsible corporate job. He has served his Guru Maharaj. And now he has taken a retired life. Why? To do more bhajan. So we all also have to plan like this, that how I can get out of this material entanglement, 9-to-5 job. How long am I going to be in the corporate world working 9-to-5 job? How can I quickly disentangle myself and increase my bhajan? How can I do that? This thought should be there and that planning should be there. Not that we remain. One day I was talking to one devotee and he said, Prabhu, I want to work till I'm 70. I have got so much loans, I will not be able to pay only. He has a very opulent lifestyle. He says, Prabhu, I have to work till I'm 70. This is not proper planning, my dear friends. This is just not proper planning. We have to downsize, we have to cut down our expenses, do what it takes. But we must have an exit plan. When a devotee asked his spiritual master, what are the instructions? I am entering Grahastha Ashram tomorrow. What are the instructions? The Guru Maharaj said that the ideal Grahastha is one who, before becoming a Grahastha, has an exit strategy. How can I take Vanaprastha? How can I get out of this Grahastha Ashram? Because life is meant for bhajan. And in Grahastha Ashram, there are many distractions, many diversions. And therefore, we should plan our life properly. As Grahasthas, we should be honest. We should try to do as much bhajan as we can while fulfilling our responsibilities. But we should also look forward to disentangling ourselves from material activities so that we can sit and do more bhajan, like chanting more rounds, doing more swadhyay of the scriptures, doing more preaching, doing more Harinam Sankirtan, doing more seva of Radha and Krishna, Gaur, Nitai, Jagannath, our deities, serving them more and getting more and more involved in direct Krishna consciousness. Yes, working in the office is indirect Krishna consciousness because the money that is coming, we are using it to run a Krishna conscious household. That is okay. But still it is not direct Krishna consciousness. Working in the office and giving that money for Krishna consciousness is not on the same level as sitting in front of Thakurji and chanting Hare Krishna Mahamantra. They cannot be equal. That is secondary Krishna consciousness, but we have to come to primary Krishna consciousness more and more. Tara madhya sarva shresht, naam sankirtan, nirapradhe naam lele, pabe premadhan, bhajanera madhya shresht, navavida bhakti, Krishna prema, Krishna dite dhare mahashakti. So this strategy should be there. If we don't have this, now while we are working a 9-to-5 job, now while we have small children, we have wife, we have old parents, we have household responsibilities, if on weekend when we are off, if we are not having this zeal to chant more, let me chant 32 rounds, let me chant 48, let me chant 64 rounds, let me do more kirtan, let me hear 3-4 lectures today. If that zeal is not there, that means we are not getting higher taste in bhakti. That means when we retire, we will be playing bingo with our friends. Old people, retired people coming and playing bingo, playing board games, playing cards, watching TV, watching news, getting Netflix. This is what we will do when we retire. If we don't develop a higher taste. Very important, my dear friends. It is heartbreaking to see devotees who have been in Krishna consciousness for 20 years, 25 years. They are Brahman initiated and now they are plateaued because they don't have high class association. They feel that's it. I came, I chanted 16 rounds, got Harinam Diksha, got Mantra Diksha. Everybody respects me. I have given a few lectures. I have done Bhakti Shastri. Now finished. Now there is nothing more for me to achieve. Sannyas to lene wala nahi hu. What more is there for me? I have done it all. I have experienced it all. That's it. I have reached the zenith of Krishna consciousness. No, this is not the zenith. This is not the zenith of Krishna consciousness. So therefore, we have to have high class association where we develop taste of going deeper and deeper and deeper into the mysteries of Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita. That is the aim. The mysteries of Śrīmad Bhagavatam. Srila Prabhupada is very clearly saying, a devotee renounces material world not for nothing, but for something tangible in spiritual value. And Srila Prabhupada says, Srila Rupa Goswami, Srila Sanatan Goswami, and Srila Raghunath Das Goswami, and others gave up their worldly pomp and prosperity for the sake of the service of the Lord. And if we call ourselves Rupa Nuga Bhakta, then we have to follow in the footsteps of the Goswamis. Tyaktva Turnam Ashesha Mandalapati Shrenim Sada Tuchchavat. You have to follow in their footsteps. There is a nice story about Srila Sanatan Goswami who had a touchstone, Srila Prabhupada says. You can read that story. We don't have time. Advancement of material vision, next paragraph. Advancement of material vision or material civilization is a great stumbling block for spiritual advancement. Advancement of material vision or material civilization is a great stumbling block for spiritual advancement. If we become too much attached to material progress, naturally, we will become more and more disinterested in spiritual progress. It is natural. I know one devotee, he was very much into material things. Even during satsangs, all the time he would be talking about where there is what job opening, who is paying how much, who is giving what benefits, who is hiring. All this is okay, but this is not to be discussed in satsang. But while eating prasad on a satsang in the temple, Sunday feast, all these discussions are going on. Always material discussions, never spiritual discussions. And this devotee is going through a great spiritual crisis right now. Very big spiritual crisis. He has no taste for hearing Harikatha, no taste for chanting, initiated but not able to chant 16 rounds also. Very big spiritual crisis. So we have to be very careful, my dear friends. If we cultivate such mundane desires, it will weaken and slacken our spiritual desires. But if we are with sincere devotees, we will cultivate spiritual desires. So that spiritual desires have to be cultivated. The attempt to reach the moon is another example of spoiling energy, because even if the moon is reached, the problems of life will not be solved. Srila Prabhupada, what is the value of going to the moon? Have you conquered Janma Mrityu Jara Vyadhi? No. The material disease, next paragraph, the material disease is due to hankering after and lording it over the material nature. Srila Prabhupada says, what is our material disease? That we want to simply enjoy in this world. We want to become little Ishwars, small Ishwars. I am the controller of this house. I am the controller of this factory or this company or this group. It is very painful. One devotee was removed as an admin in a spiritual group. And that devotee left the group. I asked why? Because I was no longer the admin in the group. Hare Krishna. This type of, pettiness. So what is the value of Krishna consciousness in your life? You want prestige. If you're not the admin, you don't need to be admin on that group because the other devotees are doing the service. But still, such ego is there. So we have to analyze our hearts. Because the Lord is the property of the devotees, Tvam Akinchana Gochara, and the devotees are property of the Lord, there is a reciprocal love between them. Such unalloyed devotees are distinct from the mixed devotees who approach the Lord for mitigation of miseries and poverty, or because of inquisitiveness and speculation. The four types of people. The unalloyed devotees and the Lord are transcendently attached to one another. That is there. Sadhunam hridayam mayam, sadhunam hridayam tvaham. The devotees are in Krishna's heart and Krishna is in the heart of the devotees. There is reciprocal dealings. Thamam prapadyante tam satyava bhajamyam. So this is very beautiful Siddhanta that Srila Prabhupada is explaining and Kunti Maharani is explaining. That we have to cultivate spiritual desires and Krishna is the property of those who are akinchan, who are not proud of anything material, who are not proud at all. Krishna does not like pride in the hearts of his devotees. So therefore we have to be humble and dinera adhika daya kare Bhagavan. We have to keep remembering this. Dinera adhika daya kare Bhagavan. Pandita kulina dhani bada abhiman. Hare Krishna. So tomorrow is, I think in India it is Chaturmas first day now. It is Guru Purnima in India today.
Yes.
Yes, Prabhu.
So very auspicious Tithi. Let us think about Srila Sanatana Goswami, our 6 Goswamis of Vrindavan, and pray to them for their mercy so we can follow in their glorious footsteps. Hare Krishna. So I'll stop here. If there are any questions we can take. Shama Kishwari Mataji, please go ahead.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam. Thank you very much for the class. Prabhuji, you mentioned that this Durvasa Muni episode happened when the Pandavas were staying in Nidhivan in Vrindavan, where the sages came, 60,000 sages, and Krishna came there. But I thought that Krishna never came back to Vrindavan. So did he come to Vrindavan and yet not meet like Mother Yashoda and the gopis, or what happened?
Yes, he came to Vrindavan, but this area is in the outskirts of Vrindavan. And Krishna came, he saved the Pandavas and went back. But Krishna did come back to Vrindavan later on. Srila Jiva Goswami writes about it in Gopal Champu. Krishna came back to Vrindavan and he met the gopis.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Yes, Sharmishta Mataji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Dandavat Pranam, Jai Shri Prabhupada.
Hare Krishna. Dandavat Pranam, Jai Shri Prabhupada.
Prabhuji, is it okay to ask in Hindi?
Yes, Mataji.
Thank you so much. Prabhuji, yesterday आपने lecture में जो बोला था morning chanting के बारे में 4 to 6 we should chant, sit in one asana and we should chant. Is it okay to chant without taking bath or?
Yes. It's okay.
And और एक चीज़ है प्रभु जी, मैंने एक लेक्चर में सुना था before 1 and 2 years back कि जो लोग विडो होते हैं उन्होंने अपने पास्ट लाइफ में किसी दूसरे पुरुष के प्रति आसक्त होते हैं या फिर ऐसा कुछ होता है तो उनको अगले जन्म में विडो के रूप में रहना पड़ता है ऐसा. Is it correct प्रभु जी? Because शास्त्रों में तो बहुत सारे ऐसे विडोज के एग्जांपल्स दिए हैं.
मैंने तो ऐसा कभी सुना नहीं है और भक्तों के लिए ये कोई खास बात नहीं है, कोई इम्पोर्टेंट बात नहीं है भक्तों के लिए. ये मैंने तो ऐसा कोई सुना नहीं है, लेकिन कर्मकांड के मार्ग में पता नहीं, लेकिन भक्तों को तो ये सब अप्लाई नहीं होता है. भक्तों के चरित्र यदि हम अभ्यास करेंगे तो कुंती महारानी, श्रीमती विष्णुप्रिया देवी, ये सब तो ऐसा नहीं, ये सब दे आर द ग्रेटेस्ट डिवोटीज. तो वी डोंट.
मैं एक्चुअली इस्कॉन के डिवोटी उनके ही लेक्चर में सुनी थी एक्चुअली.
ये जो है लॉ ऑफ कर्मा, ये बहुत डिफिकल्ट टू अंडरस्टैंड है. गीता जी में भगवान कृष्ण कहते हैं किम कर्मेति अकर्मेति कवयोपि अपि मुह्यते. ये क्या कर्म है, क्या विकर्म है, लॉ ऑफ कर्मा कैसे चलता है, कैसे काम करता है, किसने क्या किया है पिछले जन्म में, तो भगवान ही जाने, परमात्मा जानते हैं. हमें समझने की का सामर्थ्य नहीं है हम लोगों में. ये सब किसने क्या किया था. अभी ये जो सारे राक्षस है जो वृंदावन आए, सारे दानव जो वृंदावन आए, धेनुकासुर, अरिष्ठासुर, केशी, ये सब पहले जन्म में इन्होंने कोई अपराध किया था, कोई पाप किया था. ये गर्ग संहिता में लिखा है, लेकिन हम तो नहीं समझ सकते. ये तो जो त्रिकालज्ञ हमारे आचार्य है जैसे श्रीपाद नारद मुनि, वे ही जानते हैं. तो अभी गजेंद्र को उस मगरमच्छ ने पकड़ा, वो पिछले जन्म में हुहू करके एक देवता थे. तो उन्होंने मेरे ख्याल से अगस्त्य ऋषि का अपमान किया था या देवल ऋषि का अपमान किया था. उनके पैर को पकड़ लिया था जब वे गायत्री कर रहे थे.
गंधर्वराज.
हाँ,
गंधर्वराज. गंधर्वराज था.
हाँ, गंधर्व थे. उन्होंने अपराध किया था, तो फिर उन्हें शाप देके वो मगरमच्छ बन गए. और गजेंद्र भी महाराज इंद्रद्युम्न थे, उन्होंने अगस्त्य ऋषि का अपमान किया तो वे हाथी बन गए. लेकिन ये हम तो नहीं समझ सकते ना, वो तो आचार्य और भगवान ही जानते हैं. तो किसने क्या किया पिछले जन्म में इसलिए वे विधवा बन गए, हमें ऐसा जज नहीं करना है, हमें ऐसा किसी के बारे में सोचना नहीं है कि ये विधवा बन गई क्योंकि उसने पिछले जन्म में अन्य पुरुष के साथ संग किया होगा या आसक्ति थी। हमें ऐसा कभी भी विचार नहीं करना है। ये जो लॉ ऑफ कर्मा है ये केवल भगवान ही जानते हैं, और यदि हम जानने का प्रयास करें तो हम भगवान से कंपटीशन कर रहे हैं, वी आर बिकमिंग गॉड्स कॉम्पिटिटर्स। तो हमें भक्तों को कभी भी किसी को जज नहीं करना है कि पिछले जन्म में क्या किया उन्होंने, पर हमें उन पर अनुकंपा करनी है, उन पर कृपा करनी है, उन पर दया करनी है। प्रेम मैत्री कृपोपेक्षा, भगवान से प्रेम करना है, भक्तों से मैत्री करनी है, जो बालिश है उन पे कृपा करनी है, और जो वैष्णव द्वेषी है, भगवत द्वेषी है, उनकी उपेक्षा करनी है, उनके साथ संग नहीं करना है। तो कभी भी जो लॉ ऑफ कर्मा है उसे किसी को जज करने के लिए उसका प्रयोग नहीं करना चाहिए। हमें समझना चाहिए कि बस वैष्णव का स्वभाव होता है पर दुख दुखी। अगर कोई विधवा है, कोई पीड़ा में है, कोई संकट में है, कोई परेशान है, तो हमें उनकी सांत्वना देनी है और उन्हें कृष्ण भक्ति से जोड़ देना है ताकि उनका उद्धार हो। जारे देखो तारे कहो कृष्ण उपदेश, हमारा आज्ञा गुरु है तारा यही देश। यही हमारा सिद्धांत है, यही हमारा जीवन है। किसी को जज नहीं करना और बस सबको कृष्ण नाम देना। बोलो कृष्णा, भजो कृष्णा, करो कृष्ण शिक्षा। ठीक है,
थैंक यू सो मच। बट प्रभु जी, जो हमारे साथ जो होता है, जो फल हमें मिलता है, तो वी कैन मतलब हम उसको अपने कर्म का फल तो मान सकते हैं, because हमारे साथ जो गलत चीज है,
हमारे साथ जो होता है, हमें हमेशा सोचना चाहिए कि मेरे गलत कर्मों की वजह से है। तत्तेनुकंपाम सुसमीक्षमानो भुंजान एवात्मकृतम विपाकम। आत्मकृत विपाकम, ये जो कोई विपाकम है, जो कोई कष्ट है मेरे जीवन में, ये मैंने ही किए हैं। मेरी कुकर्म की वजह से, मेरे अधार्मिक कर्मों की वजह से मुझे ये सजा मिल रही है, मुझे ये यातना मिल रही है। तद्धेनुकंपाम सुसमीक्षमानो भुंजाना एव आत्मकृतम विपाकम हृदवाक वपूर्भिर्विदधन नमस्ते जीवतयो मुक्ति सपदे दाय भाग। और हमें जो भी हमें कठिनाई आती है उसे झेलना है, उसे सहन करना है। ताम तितिक्षस्य भारत मात्र स्पर्शस्तु कौन्तेय शीतोष्ण सुख दुःखदा आगमा पायोनो नित्यस्ताम तितिक्षो भारत। उसे टॉलरेट करना है, सहन करना है, तितिक्षा। और ये करते हुए हमें भगवान की अनुकंपा के लिए प्रतीक्षा करनी है, और हृदय वाक वपुर से, हृदय से, शरीर से और हमारे वाणी से भगवान का आश्रय लेना है। तो हमारे साथ जो होता है, हमें हमेशा सोचना चाहिए कि ये दूसरों की वजह से नहीं है। कौन काहू के दुख सुख कर दाता निज कृत कर्म भोग समभ्राता। रामायण में आता है, जब भरत जी आते हैं और कहते हैं कि बहुत शोक व्यक्त करते हैं, हे राम, हे लक्ष्मण, हे सीते, मेरे कारण तुम लोगों को वनवास हुआ। भरत जी कहते हैं मेरे कारण तुम लोगों को वनवास हुआ। तब लक्ष्मण जी कहते हैं, कौन काहू के दुख सुख कर दाता निज कृत कर्म भोग समभ्राता। हे भ्राता, मेरी बात सुनो, कौन काहू के दुख सुख कर दाता, कौन किसको दुख देता है, कौन किसको सुख देता है। निज कृत कर्म भोग सब भ्राता, हम सब हमारे कर्मों का ही भोगते हैं। तो हमें ऐसे ही विचार करना है, ठीक है, लेकिन दूसरों के लिए नहीं, के लिए, स्वयं के लिए। हरे कृष्ण। दूसरों के लिए पर दुख दुखी। अगर हम दूसरों के लिए ऐसा विचार करेंगे कि ये तुम्हारे कर्म का फल है, तो फिर हम पर दुख दुखी कैसे हो सकते हैं। हमें पर दुख दुखी होना है, लेकिन स्वयं के लिए नहीं। स्वयं के लिए तत्तेनुकंपाम सुसमीक्षमानो भुंजाना एवं आत्मकृतम विपाक। बिल्कुल सही कहा आपने, ठीक है।
थैंक यू सो मच।
हरे कृष्णा, जय श्रील प्रभुपाद। सुंदरी गोपी माता जी।
Prabhuji, this is regarding weak willpower and strong conditioning. If a devotee has, though initiated, no desire to hear. I mean, I'm asking for my very, very dear friend. I love that individual very much. I mean, but there is no desire, but initiated. Wonderful person, but strong conditionings, but weak willpower. How to overcome that? How can I help?
This bhakti shakti, the willpower, the steadiness in bhakti, and the willpower to do bhajan, this comes by the mercy of Guru Kripa. If there is less Guru Bal in one's life, then this power to do bhajan, the power to remain steadfast goes away. So if you analyze this, friend, I can tell you 100%, there is lack of Guru Nishtha and there is lack of Guru Seva. A Guru Sevak, someone who is Guru Nishtha, who has got firm faith in one's Guru, will never have this weakness of heart, will never have this lack of willpower. Because this is called Bhakti Bal, and Bal comes from Balram. Balram is Ādi Guru. And Guru Maharaj is a representative of Balram. One who has Guru Bal will have the power to perform bhajan. It comes from Krishna. Where did the Brahman get the power to go from Vidarbha to Dwarka in one night? When Rukmini gave the letter to the Brahman, it is our Acharya's comment that that power was given by Balram. Balramji is nowhere in that story of Rukmini Mangal. But Balramji was giving strength. That strength to run from Vidarbha to in Maharashtra to Dwarka in the middle of the ocean in one night, that comes, that power, that Bhakti Shakti, that power to do bhajan, that power to do seva, it comes from Guru. Therefore, Guru Ashraya, Guru Kripa hi Kevalam. Guru Kripa hi Kevalam. I cannot overemphasize this. It is Guru Kripa, Guru Kripa, Guru Kripa. Srila Prabhupada on Jalduta is praying, Shri Siddhanta Saraswati, Shachi Suta Priya Ati, Krishna Seva Jara Tulanai, Sei Se Mahanta Guru Jagater Madhe Uru, Krishna Bhakti Deya Thai Thai. Tara Ichha Balavan, Prithivete Than Than, Hoi Jai Gaurangera Nam. Srila Prabhupada says, the desire of my spiritual master, Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, who is very dear to Sachi Suta, Gauranga Mahaprabhu, is very strong that everywhere in this world, there should be Gauranga Nam. Taro Ichha Balavan, Prithivete Than Than, Hoi Jai Gaurangera Nam. And by his mercy, by his power, by his willpower, this Gauranam, Gauravani will be propagated all over the world. So, Srila Prabhupada had such Guru Nishtha. Our Acharyas have such Prabhupada Nishtha. You see, Prabhupada disciples, they have so much Prabhupada Nishtha, such Guru Nishtha. So, Guru Bal, just do one thing. Find a Sadguru and just surrender to the Guru. Hear Guru Vani, chant Guru Mantra, and do bhajan like Guru Maharaj has said. And then see what happens. And do some seva for Guru. I know one disciple here. Sorry, I should not say much. But there is this one Prabhupada disciple himself told me. He said, I committed a grave Vaishnava aparadh. And the Vaishnava that I offended has passed away. So I cannot even go and say sorry. He said, after that, for years, my Krishna consciousness was finished. I could not even chant 16 rounds. I lost all my bhakti bal, my bhajan bal. And I was suffering and suffering and suffering. Then he got an opportunity to fix a painting of Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur in one temple. It was cracked. So he took it and he got it fixed and repaired and brought it back to the temple. He said, this one service I did for my Param Guru, it just gave me mercy and I was able to do my bhajan again. So somehow or the other, we have to do Guru Seva, Mataji. There are devotees, they do transliteration Seva, right? They hear the lecture, they translate. Some Seva they give donation. Some Seva we have to be engaged in the service of our Guru Maharaj. We must have a connection with our Guru Maharaj through Seva. I know so many devotees. Somehow, if Guru Maharaj was into scientific preaching, somehow the disciples try to continue that spirit of Guru Maharaj. Guru Maharaj is very much interested in preaching in the remote villages. So they will do some Padayatra, they will do something. Guru Maharaj really wanted preaching to be done in Odisha, in the Odian language. The devotees will do something and they will preach in villages in Odisha. So different Guru Maharajas, different disciples, they carry on the mission of their Guru. So one has to have connection with Guru through Seva. If this one thing is done, Guru Seva, Guru Nishtha, all the strength will come. All the strength will come. The bhajan will become so powerful. Okay, Mataji? Hare Krishna.
Yes, Prabhuji. Can you please pray for that devotee? Hare
Krishna. I will pray, Mataji. For whatever worth my prayers are. Krishna listens to someone who is Sharanagat. Shadanga Sharanagati hoibe jahar tahara prarthana shune Shri Nanda Kumar. So Krishna will not hear my prayers, but I will pray. I will pray. Hare Krishna. But you tell that devotee to take Guru Ashray.
Yes, Prabhu. Yes.
Hare Krishna. Amrit Karana Prabhu.
Thank you, Prabhuji, for a wonderful session. I really appreciate you so much. During Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, everybody used to chant 64 rounds. Advaita Acharya Thakur disciple, also Advaita Acharya Thakur, he is very serious that a whole disciple has to chant 64 rounds minimum. And also we could see after that, the followers like Narottam Das Thakur, everybody now, that Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur. And Prabhupada actually, how he told that he, for preaching, he told us 16 rounds minimum. But then, you see, for getting perfection, why we are not chanting 64 rounds? Why is we are not getting so much like power or interest for this now? Because it's fixed on 16 rounds. All the devotees are telling 16 rounds means, but that I'm sometimes thinking that can you please clarify it? Can you please tell us that maybe for perfection we need to chant 64 rounds? I don't know. I'm sorry to say.
We have to follow the bhajan pranali that our Guru Maharaj has given. Srila Prabhupada said 16 rounds minimum. But at the same time, Prabhupada Lilamrit clearly says that Prabhupada wanted us to chant 64 rounds. He himself chanted 64 rounds for years. But when he started, Srila Tamal Krishna Goswami Maharaj writes in the TKG diary that Srila Prabhupada chanted 64 all his life. But when he started traveling and preaching, and he became Jet Age Parivrajaka Jagat Guru, because he was constantly engaged in Krishna service, running this organization, helping the devotees, he could not find time to chant 64 rounds, but he kept 16 as minimum, Srila Prabhupada. But Srila Prabhupada doesn't have to chant. Srila Prabhupada's one Hare Krishna Mahamantra is more powerful than our so many 64s.
Yeah.
He's chanting Shuddhanam. Chanting Shuddhanam. So that time devotees had to distribute books, build temples, assist Prabhupada, so many services were there. So Srila Prabhupada said, you're busy, so keep 16 as the minimum. And if we are busy even today with what Prabhupada wanted, doing Harinam Sankirtan on the streets, doing book distribution, preaching, building temples, then okay, chant 16 rounds, no problem. But problem is, we are chanting 16 rounds and watching news. We are chanting 16 rounds and overeating and becoming fat. We are chanting 16 rounds and we are sleeping more than 6 hours. So that is sinful. That is disservice. That is not good. Now, most of the devotees are grahasthas. That time, everybody was living in the temple and they were following the temple schedule. Now, everybody is living at home. There is no supervision. Nobody is there to watch what time we sleep, what time we wake up, how many rounds we chant. There is just no supervision, whether we are having morning program or not. There is no supervision. So devotees are in the movement for 20, 25 years and they have no taste in Krishna consciousness. Their taste is going down. So it's a very sad situation. So we have to look at our situation. If we are not having services, just chant. The greatest service is chanting. Greatest service is chanting. There is one devotee, to prevent embarrassment, I will not name, the Prabhupada disciple living in New Vrindavan. He asked Prabhupada this question that somebody is just chanting, not doing anything else. Prabhupada said, you think chanting is not a service? It is the greatest service. In fact, because you cannot sit and chant in one place, I have to keep you busy with so many services. But just sit and chant. So that devotee is in New Vrindavan today, chants 108 rounds every day, Prabhupada disciple. I met him. New Vrindavan, chanting 108 rounds every day for years, because he took that instruction of Srila Prabhupada to heart. He understood Prabhupada's heart. Srila Loknath Swami Maharaj, in morning walk, it is there, recorded in our Veda base. Morning walk, Srila Loknath Swami Maharaj asked Prabhupada. Prabhupada said, yes, you should chant 64 rounds. Why 64? Chant 108 rounds, Prabhupada said. Tamal Krishna Maharaj said, on Ekadashi should be chant 64 rounds. Prabhupada said, why 64? Chant 100 rounds. Prabhupada wanted us to chant Kirtaniya Sadahari, Sadatam Kirtayantomam. Not just 16. 16 rounds is very minimum for those who are busy. Srila Bhakti Tirtha Swami Maharaj never chanted less than 40 rounds in his life since he got initiated. So the acharyas who have gotten Krishna, you have to study their life. They have done a lot of Nam Bhajan. Sripad Ayendra Prabhu, 116 rounds every day, living in living in Vrindavan Dham. Radhini Mataji, 64 rounds. She would be kneading the dough to make chapatis for Jagannath. She would hang her beads, Tulsi Mala on the wall on a nail, and she would look at the beads and chant Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram. With her eyes, she would follow the 108 Tulsi beads and complete one round while kneading the dough for making puris and chapatis, because she had no time. Such dedication to chant 64 rounds, and they all got Krishna. So therefore, there are many devotees, Prabhuji, in ISKCON who are chanting 64 rounds. Many devotees. Gudagesh Prabhu is chanting 2 lakh, 128 rounds every day. Disciple of Srila Gopal Krishna Goswami Maharaj. There are so many. There are gurus in ISKCON who are telling their devotees, their disciples, to chant 64 rounds. So if our situation permits, we must make the time. I know so many devotees who chant 64. So many devotees, but they are hidden. Fortunately, they are hidden. Because when we talk about our own sadhana, apanera bhajan katha na kohi be yatha tatha, Srila Narottam Das Thakur says, we should not talk about our bhajan. So we should not talk, but yes, we must inspire each other to chant more and more. 64 is the standard, Srila Prabhupada writes. Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur also. And after Srila Prabhupada said that minimum 16, even many acharyas in Gaudiya Math also, they respect that. That for the sake of preaching, minimum can be 16. So many of the in Gaudiya Math also, many of the gurus, they say minimum 16. Minimum 16. So yes, for the sake of preaching, if we are busy, 16 can be minimum. Because if you keep 64 as the minimum, nobody will get Diksha. Nobody will get Diksha. Who is going to commit? I'll chant 64 rounds every day. I cannot commit that I will chant 64 every day. What if I'm not able to? So therefore, for the sake of growing the movement, Srila Prabhupada brought it down. But we should know, now there are temples, now we have all books, everything. Now we have to chant more so we get the purity. Purity is the force. And then we can preach nicely. Our preaching will have some substance if we have good Nam Bhajan. Like that.
Thank you.
We cannot emphasize that everybody should chant 64. It's not for everyone. But those who have the time, those who have the ability, they must chant. Everyone should chant more than 16. Nobody should chant 16 rounds. That is for sure. Nobody in ISKCON should chant just 16 rounds. We should chant more. Prabhupada said minimum. How can we do minimum? Prabhupada said, I'll come to your house. Minimum, just give me a roti, I will come to your house. And we come and we give a roti to Prabhupada. Take a roti. You said minimum you will take one roti. No, if Prabhupada comes, we'll give him roti, puri, pulao, 2-3 sabjis, dal, sweet items. Everything we'll give Prabhupada. We'll give him mukwas. So we never do minimum. We do maximum. So do maximum chanting. Okay. Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Hare Krishna. So Divya Mataji.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. I had a question about chanting, and I just wanted to share my personal experience. Now, for 8 years, I used to chant 16 rounds, and I used to read Bhagavatam and Gita every day. The past 2 years, my situation doesn't allow that, so I have enough time maybe to chant 4 rounds. And the Shastras, I have to just listen because I don't have time to read. But I'm just wondering, on days when I have more time to chant more than 4 rounds, it's better to do the chanting or to do the reading?
You should try to do both. Reading is important because reading will nourish our chanting. Unless we read, we will not understand the importance of chanting. So you should do both. And just do your best. I know your situation, Mataji. So just do your best. Krishna is watching, and Krishna will definitely bestow his full mercy on you very soon. Don't worry. Just continue what you are doing. Just be sincere, and Krishna is there. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Sandeep Prabhu, then Shamchandra Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Prabhuji, as you were talking about and explaining the Akinchan, like Kunti Maharani is praying to Akinchan Gochare. But Prabhuji, this society and social culture around us is something like every time they will praise and remind you for any material achievement, even for spiritual things, right? And then at the end, right, it makes you feel proud. Like everyone praising you for little things, even in office or wherever you go. So how do we get that mood, Prabhuji, that mood of Maharaj Janak, Maharaj Ambarish, and all those kings, King Kulshekhara?
By remembering Srila Sanatana Goswami. Because Srila Sanatana Goswami, when he meets Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he says this in Prayag, that everyone praises me. Everyone says I am a great scholar. And my problem is, I believe them. Srila Sanatana Goswami says like that. So there is one lecture that I heard of my spiritual master, Srila Radhanath Swami Maharaj, 2005, South India Yatra, the last lecture, concluding lecture. It's 45-minute duration. 2005 South India Yatra, last lecture, concluding lecture, 45-minute lecture, around 45-minute lecture. In that, Srila Radhanath Swami Maharaj says that when people praise us, glorify us, and we hear it, it is an indigestible poison. We cannot digest it. हम नहीं पचा सकते उसको. We cannot. Even Jagadananda Pandit, when he is chastised by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu because he told Sanatana Goswami, you go to Vrindavan. Sanatana Goswami said, I have got these ulcers on my body. What should I do? Mahaprabhu embraces me. I contaminate his Shri Anga. I cannot do any service. What should I do? Jagadananda Pandit was a friend. He said, यार तुमको सेवा दी है वृंदावन में, चले जाओ वृंदावन, go to Vrindavan and do your service there. That way you don't cause this disservice to Mahaprabhu, and you can do your seva and be engaged in the service of Mahaprabhu. Just go back to Vrindavan. He said, yes, I will go. When Sanatana Goswami went to Mahaprabhu to take permission that I want to go to Vrindavan, Mahaprabhu asked, how did you decide this? He says, I have not decided independently. I have also consulted with Jagadananda Pandit, and he also gave permission that I should go. Kali kale batua jagga aise gar vihaila toma samajjana iha upadesh karila. That jagga, Jagadananda Pandit, kali kale batua, kal ka bacha, jagga, tuma samajjana hi upadesh karila. He is giving updesh to a person like you, advising a person like you. What does Sanatana Goswami say? Apanera asabhagya aja hoilo gyan, jage nahi Jagadananda samabhagyavan. When Mahaprabhu is chastising Jagadananda Pandit, Sanatana Goswami is saying, Apanera asabhagya aja hoilo gyan. Today I have come to know how unfortunate I am. And jage nahi Jagadananda samabhagyavan. And in this world there is no one as fortunate as Jagadananda Pandit. Right? How is that? Mahaprabhu is angry with Jagga. How can he be the most fortunate person? Mahaprabhu asks, Sanatana Goswami replies, Jagadanande pebao tumhi atamiya ras, ama pebao gaurav stuti nimba nishindaras. You are feeding Jagadananda Pandit atmiyata ras. You are considering him yours, very close. That's why you're chastising him, calling him Jagga. You're calling Jagadananda Pandit Jagga, atmiyata ras, because he's very close to you. Ama pebao, but to me, you are giving Gaurav Stuti Nimba Nishindaras. You are giving me bitter neem juice by calling me a great person, a great Goswami. So like that. So why did I say this? When people praise us, so Maharaj was saying that when people praise us, it is an indigestible poison. It is a Nimba Nishindaras. When people praise us, it's a bitter juice, poisonous juice. We cannot digest it. What we should do? There is someone like Lord Shiva who can digest it. And that is Guru. That is Guru. So whenever there is any stuti, any glorification coming our way, we should not reject it. Take it and immediately pass it on in the parampara to Gurudev. Gurudev can digest it. Gurudev can handle it. So anybody says, Sandeep Prabhu, you are like this, you are very great. Immediately pass it on to your Guru. Gurudev will pass it on to Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada will Saraswati Thakur. Like that, it will go and ultimately everything reaches to Krishna, who is all glorious. So like that. So whenever people praise us, we should not believe them. We should think that they are seeing my Guru Maharaj's glory in me, and therefore they are glorifying my Guru Maharaj. Okay, let me take this like a postman. Let me take this mail order, this money order, and give it to the owner of the money, that is Gurudev, and just give it to Gurudev. If we keep even one speck of praise for ourselves, we are finished. We are poisoned. Maharaj says like that. Hare Krishna. Is that okay?
Yes, Prabhuji. Thank you so much. 2005 South India Yatra.
2005 South India Yatra, last lecture. Conclusion.
Thank you.
45 minutes. Hare Krishna.
Yes.
Jai Srila Prabhupada.
Jai Shri.
Okay. Last question is Shamchandra Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. Dandat Pranam, Jai Srila Prabhupada. Thank you so much for such a wonderful, insightful class today. And I really relished your replies to Sundari Gopi Mataji's query and also Sandeep Prabhu's queries. I really that will further enhance my taste in Guru Tattva. Guru Nishtha. I certainly believe that only through Guru Kripa, one can advance in spiritual life. So the point you made nicely about Guru Bal, the Bal is coming from Guru Balram. Thank you so much for that. Reiterating that will further enhance my understanding in this. Okay, so my question is, Prabhuji, in that last verse where Kunti Maharani is saying Kaivalya Patya Namaha. So Kaivalya Pate, where Lord is actually is explained as a master of the monists. So there can be two understandings to this. Please clarify my doubt on this. One is the Lord is trying to, the monists are people who want to merge into the existence of the Lord, the effulgence. So one understanding in this could be the Lord is so merciful that he can dispel that incorrect understanding of liberation or mukti and give them the right understanding of bhakti. So that way Lord is, Kaivalya Pati. Second understanding could also be that the Lord is helping them in that direction. You want it that way, okay, be it that way, then, merge into the existence. So I just wanted to know, how do we interpret this? Is it, it can be both the ways, or the first understanding is the right way?
Yeah, both are correct, Prabhu. What you said is correct. Do you have Bhagavatam with you?
I've got it in my mobile.
Okay, someone can share. Let me show you, Prabhu. So hold on. Let me share my screen. I don't even have. Can someone share the screen?
I can share, Prabhu. What do you want me to share? Bhagavatam.
So this, Bhagavatam 8.27 purport, last two sentences.
First Canto 8 chapter.
The last verse that we read. Yeah, 1.8.27. Srila Prabhupada answers this. So both are correct, Prabhuji, what you said. The word Kaivalya I have seen it being used with different meanings. Kaivalya in one verse, it refers to Krishna, who is pure, liberated, ever liberated. Kaivalya means liberation also. And Kaivalya also means bhakti. I have seen it being used like that also. So see here, Prabhuji, such monists. So here it is said, the unalloyed, you can see, the unalloyed devotees and the Lord are transcendently attached to one another. For others, the Lord has nothing to reciprocate, and therefore they are called Atmaramas, or self-satisfied. Self-satisfied as Krishna is the master of all monists who seek to merge into the existence of the Lord. So they want Sayujya Mukti, and Krishna is Kaivalya Pataya. He is their master. Such monists merge within the personal effulgence of Krishna, called Brahma Jyoti. So this is for those who want Sayujya Mukti. But devotees enter into the transcendental Leela, pastimes of Krishna, and are never to be misunderstood as material. So here it refers to the Sayujya Mukti Abhilashi. Those who want Sayujya Mukti, Krishna is their Lord also, their master also. Like that. So actually both the meanings that you said, they are correct. Krishna who brings the Brahmavadis to Bhakti. Example is Chatush Kumar and Shukdev Goswami. And Krishna who is the Lord of those who genuinely want Sayujya Mukti. There are some who genuinely want, and Krishna gives that. It's one of the bona fide liberations, Sayujya Mukti. Krishna gives. So like that. Is that okay, Prabhuji?
Yes, Prabhu. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Ajay Goindru, for sharing. And thank you, dear devotees, for your kind participation. We will end it here now. It's late. Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki Jai.